we talked about how we would discuss this. We're not going to have time to get into every single one. We're going to try to do kind of like a top 5 of sorts. So however that means to you, Austin, whether it's your favorite ones, the favorite role fills, just give me the first one that you want to talk about, whether it is the 5 or however you want to phrase it. It's your top 5 list from this class that you want to discuss. You have the floor.
Yeah, I mean, I think, are you good if we just trade one for one here?
Let's do one for one. Let's do it. I love it.
I'm going to take the easy one, but because it just makes too much sense. So sorry.
You would.
I'm going to take Deuce Knight. I mean, I think that, we heard all up until the last month of the year, there was talk on is he going to Ole Miss? Is he going to visit someone else? Is Alabama getting involved? All these things. And I think that to lock Deuce down and I'm not saying Deuce is the most talented player in this class. I'm not saying he's the most highly rated player in this class. All those things could be true, but there's the quarterback of your class tends to be the centerpiece, right?
Right.
And I think that everyone wants to know it's helpful for guys who you're trying to also have joined the class, and also guys who are in the class to be able to sell other people on who the quarterback is. So to have him, to lock him in, and for it to be kind of the talented quarterback that Auburn fans have been hoping to get out of the high school ranks, and maybe we see him down the line in a couple of years, prove that on the field as well. That has to be important. So I think having Deuce is definitely a major, major factor that was a win for Auburn on signing day.
You would take the easy one.
I did.
I dislike you for that. Since you didn't cheat, but you took the easy route. I am going to cheat for my first one. And because these two came together at the very end of the day, and I think they were the nice end cap to everything. One of them was a bit of a question. The other one was just a matter of timing. I think he was the last one scheduled to do it for the day. But I'm talking about the two cornerbacks at the end of the day, Donovan Starr and Devin Williams. Now, why this is important is one of the misses, if you want to call it that, that was out there for Auburn was Naheem, or is it Naheem?
Naheem, I believe.
Naheem. Offord was out there, looked like Auburn had a good shot at him. As the day progressed, it seemingly didn't seem like that was going to take place. If that had taken place, it looked like Donovan Starr had been reevaluating his options, going somewhere else. And then we're all speculating. We can't prove these things. We're just walking out logic here.
Right.
Because suddenly he wanted to actually make his decision that day. And then you throw that on top of Devin Williams. So you'd had a day where there were some of the quote unquote big misses, but then you had a nice into the day of kind of locking down your cornerback room, your defensive back room. And it was kind of that last exciting thing. In fact, Donovan Starr commitment came in as Hugh Freeze is doing his press conference, which was really fun to watch because he got really, really happy about that one. Because it was like, you could tell it was that nice check mark that he needed on the day for this class. So for me, that's a cheat. I'm taking, if you want to call it an honorable mention, alongside Devin Williams, kind of in capping everything. Everybody that had committed and stayed committed through signing day signed on National Signing Day. That is a big win for me. So that's my first option there.
I think that raises a lot of good points because corner was definitely kind of one that Auburn looked like they had a lot of momentum in. And then also kind of as things progressed throughout the day and also the week, it was kind of like, is Auburn going to be okay at corner? So to end the day well, is good to see that. I think they also got one of the Maryland kids, Blake Woodby. I think they're calling a corner too. So ended up being a really good day for corners. In a similar vein, I'm going to say the defensive line. I think Jordan Crawford is really, really good.
God, he's huge.
But he's a massive person. But when you put him with Antonio Coleman and Jared Smith and Malik Autry, those guys make a really good defensive line class, I think. Especially when you think about that, the trenches are the most important part, right? Mm-hmm. But I think when you can keep those guys, because all those guys are big guys, all those guys are talented guys. I mean, big in stature, but also big as in impactful. So to have that group kind of stay together in a similar vein with the corner, Justice Terry was one that I never really thought was going to be one Auburn was going to get. He ended up committing to Texas. But to have that unit be consistently good across the four of them is really big. I love that Malik Autry and Antonio Coleman were ones that stayed in this class. Both guys who either were committed a long time or had a lot of drama. But at the end of the day, the last few months, it's been all Auburn. So just really love that those guys are in the boat. I think the staff's really excited about those two.
So you named a lot in there. So was Jordan Crawford your one, or did you do the cheat again of picking
I
like
probably cheated, but I'll pick Jordan Crawford.
Jordan Crawford. You did kind of cheat there a little bit worse than I did, but I'll let you slide since I started the cheat.
We're gonna name all these guys by the end.
We're just gonna name them all. I'll go here. I'm gonna go here because I am not a big person about the recruiting anymore, the recruiting process. When they're committed, when they're signed, that's when I focus in on them because that's the only thing that truly matters, to be honest with you. But I love talking about regional stories or where these guys come from. I don't know if you know where I'm heading with this, but we always talk about Auburn. You know, one of the big stories is Auburn dominating in the state this cycle. Yes. And they did a great job at that. Georgia, Florida being those other two primary ones, and then the rest of your neighboring Southeast. Auburn goes out to Oklahoma and snags them an offensive tackle in Broderick Scholl out there. So not only is it fulfilling a position that is always of need and is still a constant soreness for Auburn fans at times and the Auburn team, just not having that unit cohesively be consistent. But going out to Oklahoma and snagging someone from the clutches out there, which technically I guess is SEC country now with Oklahoma.
It is now.
That's a big thing to me because I love talking about that. Auburn needs to extend its arm. If I can cheat a little bit here and talk about that Maryland pipeline that's been created, same kind of thought process there. But to me, a position of need, a region that we don't go to a whole lot, maybe more so now that pipeline has begun with someone out there having access to it. That's a big story for me. So Broderick Scholl is my number 2, I guess, if you want to put it in the list.
So who was my Donovan Starr officially your number 1, or was
I cheated and said Donovan Starr and Devin Williams together because they kind of cap-ended everything at this almost the bang together. But Donovan Starr, if you want me to.
So really you have 2.
Yes.
Okay.
I have 2 officially.
I have like 7 unofficially.
Oh Lord.
I'm going to say my third one is going to be Anquan / New Boy. Didn't know that was his nickname.
I'd heard it before.
Would love to hear Rick Smith say New Boy Fagans next year in Jordan Stadium.
New Boy Fagans.
I guess they announced their own now, but when he makes a pick 6, then Rick Smith can. But mine's going to be him. I think I talked about, I don't know if Deuce is the most talented, is the most, highly rated. I think Anquan Fagans is the most talented. I think he is the most highly rated. I think he will be one that we probably see next year play a lot. DJ Durkin and Hugh Freeze are not what's my word? Not ashamed, not shy about playing their freshmen. And I think you will see Anquan Fagans play at Auburn. I think he's just got the skills. I think he's got the look of what DJ Durkin likes in his safety. Same with Eric Winters, but I'm sticking with Fagans. And I think that he is the one that will have the most impact the earliest, if that makes sense.
No, I like that pick there. He's one that they all felt like big moments at certain points in the recruiting process and the recruiting story of this class. But I think his was kind of that one when he committed that started that big swing for Auburn. It's like, okay, they're going to do this again. Like at least have a really strong case for the top 10. At that time, they started pushing into the top 5 and stuff like that. And we're very close to that if some different things had worked out in different ways. But Anquan is certainly one that should earn a lot of respect and turn a lot of heads. I'm going to go a different route for my third one here. And it is a position of need thing. And it's the very first one of the day. John Allen McGuire at punter. Listen, I'm a kicker by trade. Got to value these things. Everybody dismisses them. Everybody dismisses the kicker and the punter. If you don't have these things right, as we learned this year, then you're going to suffer. So with the very sad departure of the wonderful wonder from down under, I'm so happy that we found somebody, in a local kid coming out of that pipeline up there at Thompson. Is it Thompson or is it?
That's correct. Yeah,
Thompson. I had him right. It was like 3 or 4 of them that came from Thompson. Snagging him with a few of his teammates is great. But you got to lock down the punter position every 3 or 4 years, and we're working through that on the kicker side of things. But hey, listen, if the health situation still continues with McPherson, if there are still issues with the other 2, maybe we can try him there too. I don't know. I'm just happy to see us, lock down someone as we have the next one move off into the sunset. But gonna miss the wonder from down under.
Yeah, we are, and I believe I saw. I do not know his name off the top of my head, but our backup punter also
Yes.
decided to test the portal water. So,
Yes.
John Allen McGuire, he might be called upon very, very early.
Be ready. We're going to need you.
We'll need him. So, I think my fourth one is going to be Hollis Davidson the third.
Okay.
Hollis was. We probably talked about it on an episode, but one of those guys. Same with Antonio Coleman. One of those guys who decommitted and then committed back to Auburn. And then you really didn't hear about it, anything else after that second time committing. I think that's big. That was pursued a lot by other SEC programs. But once he got back in the boat, he stuck with his commitment. So I love to see tight ends in the boat just because they can do a lot of different things. And I think that he is a very talented one. And I always love to see guys reaffirm their commitment and love for Auburn. It just goes to show they know they made the right choice. So we're really looking forward to seeing him in an Auburn Tiger uniform.
And it's a big group of need because you're losing a lot from there. Thankfully, Brandon Frazier did announce that he's coming back, so that'll provide some leadership in that room. And then hopefully you go find maybe some extra leadership help in that position too in the transfer portal. But you got to start building up for the future. And you've got him and also Ryan, who came in this class. They're going to be really instrumental in getting the tight end room going again from the younger ranks. That's a good pick as well. Number 4 for me, I'm going to go with the family route. There's a lot of family route in here. Which one do you think I'm going to do? There's 2 options for family routes here.
The family route?
Yeah. 2 Smiths, and then now there's a second Falk. Caleb Falk is coming in at linebacker. I am a sucker for these type of things when we bring family members either at the same time, different classes. I hate, for instance, that Marcus Herrick and Malik Blockton didn't get to play together for a season.
Sure.
That would have been great because I love those type of things. So I am a sucker for this. Caleb was one of the first ones, like 2 or 3 in the class to commit. So he stayed with the class, with the program. His brother's here just turning it up, Keldrick Falk. And so I'm excited about seeing them 2 out there on the field together at the linebacker position too. That is also going to be, there's a recurring story here, Austin. We got a lot of units that need to be replenished.
Yep. JJ
may have an opportunity to do that very, very quick. So that I'm going to be a sucker, a sap. The family route is my number 4 pick there.
I think that's a good one too. And we talk about silly season in the portal. Don't think there's not people trying to get in Keldrick Falk's ear. So to know that his little brother's coming, I think he loves Auburn. He likes being at Auburn, but that can only help even more.
Certainly. Yep.
Of his brother being here, staying close home. So I think my last one, I thought about going the twin route, but I'm not going to do it. That would have been just too easy for me. I'm going. It's semi easy again, but I think Alvin Henderson is going to be an incredible running back at Auburn University. Yeah. Look, that's not stepping out too far because most running backs that come to Auburn University end up being incredible running backs. But just a really talented kid, a really big kid in terms of size, but also the record books he set in the Alabama high school ranks. Looks like the part for this Auburn offense and Auburn running back. So it might be a couple of years. Let's just remember these kids are just getting their grounds and just becoming college freshmen, and all that entails outside of even football. But I think that Alvin Henderson can do a lot of things with Jarquez Hunter leaving. There's a wide gap of who's going to get the most snaps next year, and plenty of time to compete. But Alvin Henderson is who I'll close out with my top 5.
I will not be a sap, even though I want to, and pick the Twins. I am shocked that you got away, Mr. Father of 2 twins, with not picking them to talk about. And I would have given you the cheat there because that's 2 and 1. And and the fact that they have almost the exact same name, Derek and Eric. I don't know how their parents did that.
I get Brooks and Barrett confused nonstop. I can't imagine Derek, Eric.
Like, I'm not even saying like to them, like that was a bad thing, like to the parents, like, how do you not, mess that up all the time? I'm sure they did. I'm going to go one of the ones at the end. And it wasn't even a surprise, but it was one of the unknowns of the day. It was speculated that there would be someone who wasn't committed sign with the Tigers that day. A lot of predictions toward this way, defensive tackle Darian Smith. So it was another end cap today alongside how I started my my list. It was a trip through the signing class. My list with Donovan Starr and Devin Williams right before that Darian Smith comes in is probably the only true unknown what would happen with that, and was more of a sure thing for Auburn, at least speculation wise. So there was a nice in-cap defensive line. Certainly has a lot of young talent showing out, but you got to continue these pipelines through the offensive and defensive lines need to keep being replenished for nothing else than depth. So it was nice to have that nice surprise to go along with some of the pieces you already mentioned, Malik Autry and many others. So that was an exciting way to end the day. So that will be my fifth and final one.
That's a good one. I think with that one, a lot of people will say, "Oh, well, it's just a 3-star flip from Tennessee," and I really hate that because one, these are you people don't even know who's handing out these stars, right. So stop. But also, second, it's a position of need, like you said. But it's also let's not forget who's at Tennessee is one Rodney Garner, and if he wanted him initially, then look, there's something there. So let's not forget that.
Yep. These conversations are always so much more nuanced. And if your only discussion point is how many stars someone has, like this, when I get a comment that says how many stars with these, I immediately just ignore it, because that just shows me where your mindset is right there. It doesn't matter.
And I'm not disregarding the people who put in the work and this is their job to evaluate, but they're human as much as Kyle and I are. They're going to mess up. They're going to, and look, a 3-star for the grand scheme of things, they might be a 5-star for exactly what DJ Durkin wants on his defensive line. We have no idea what the exact skill set that these guys are going to work in certain places. So while I think that there's merit to some guys being more talented than others, and if you have more of those guys, then you see good results. I think that's a valid assumption to get there. Yeah. Let's also just remember that different guys are different people.
Yeah. And listen, if you're going to dumb down someone's value based on stars,
it's dumb.
It's dumb. It's dumb. Just don't do it. What I will say this 9,000 more times. It doesn't matter how many stars you come in with. It matters how many you leave with. End. Over with. Said and done. 2025 class. We're not done talking about them, but that'll be our introduction to them. We're looking forward to see their futures as Auburn Tigers.